So before I tell you healthy qualities that successful people possess that makes them successful, I want to tell you 3 qualities that researchers found that mega successful people have in common. And I'm not in any way indulging this, and I'm not in any way trying to tell you, oh, become that, because those are, I would say, not really healthy qualities, but it's just facts and it's an interesting way to start a video. According to that study, according to the research people did, is first, superiority complex. Basically, they think that they are better than everyone. Second one is that they always feel inadequate. Very interesting, right? They feel superior and at the same time they feel inadequate, but this inadequacy, this feeling like they don't belong, they will never succeed, they will never do that, is actually what helps them to achieve those dreams. And I'm not in any way trying to tell you that think that you're superior or feel inadequate. Or third one is impulse control. They all had in common impulse control. So I'm not in any way telling you to stop whatever you're doing and start thinking that you're superior, you're inadequate, and have developed impulse control, because that is not, in my opinion, healthy ones and in the opinion of so many people. But there are other qualities that successful people possess that do not harm you. So let's leave 3 of those qualities out there, out in the air, like maybe in the back of a wardrobe, because those are the ones that you either, I don't know, born with or not. You either develop as a child or not, and it doesn't really guarantee that if you will become feeling inadequate and feeling superior than everyone else, doesn't really guarantee that you'll be successful. That's just an observation that people did, and I really wanted to tell you this. And again, I'm not saying become all of these things, but I am saying develop next qualities that I'm gonna tell you, because they are gonna bring you to success. Those probably are just gonna bring you to burnout and a lot of stress, in my opinion, even though I have all these 3 qualities. So the first quality successful people have is not waking up at 5 a.m. I don't really think waking up at 5 a.m. is really a quality, it's more of an action, but they don't all wake up at 5 a.m. What they have in common is their ability to focus intensely on one thing. For example, they need to write a book, and they can set a timer and like intensely focus on their one thing. But that doesn't mean that they were born that way, that they were, I don't know, miracles and God decided to give them this gift of focusing. No, of course not. Focusing can be learned the same way, I don't know, playing on piano can be learned, singing can be learned, dancing can be learned. You just have to put effort into it. And so many people think that you either born with it or not, you either blessed with it or not, but I made a whole video about it, so there's really no need for me to talk more about it because I made a whole video about it. If you're interested in how to get more into it, how to better focus on one task or in task overall, or on the boring tasks especially, because those are not my favorite type of tasks, I'm gonna be honest. If you're curious about those things, check out my video about focus, but let's move on. Second one is they are able to, let's say, soothe themselves. They know how to calm themselves down in stressful situations, which is basically showing emotional maturity. They know what triggers them, they know how to deal with those triggers, and that is, again, that is not the thing you're born with, and in some way you are already emotionally mature, whether you realize it or not. Every one of us in some way is already emotionally mature, but you can boost your emotional maturity by so many things. Again, I made a video about it. Apparently I make a lot of videos, I guess. So if you want to boost your emotional intelligence, watch that video, because I'm here just to tell you qualities and not really over-explain them. I'm gonna over-explain some of them, but like mostly no. Third one is delusional optimism. I think we all seen on TikTok, be delusional, be delulu, and people who are successful have this delusional optimism, because if you kind of look back on famous people, celebrities for example, and when they were, I don't know, living completely different country, far away from, for example, United States, and they became singers and moved there and like had this whole career, and now they are #1 singer or songwriter or composer. There are so many stories of people that came from absolutely nothing and became so successful in the way that society sees successful, because we don't really know what's going on behind the curtains of someone's house, we only see their money, their fame, their smile, and we're like, okay, that person is happy, that person is successful. But nevertheless, all those people that have like an idea in their head and have dream, they are delusional, because they have to be, because those people that have all those big dreams and big ideas in their head, they have to be optimistically delusional in some way. If they weren't, they would never achieve those dreams. For example, one setback would happen and they're like, okay, it's not for me, I'm not gonna do it, I'm a loser, nothing will ever happen to me, and like, you know, this negative self-talk. And yes, you do have to be delusional optimistic. Fourth one is they always bring others up and not down. Because again, most of the successful people, they're positive, they're optimistic, they want others to have an amazing life too. They don't just want to, you know, all those secrets that they have achieved, everything just put in a box and never show to anyone. They want to share and they want to help others. And I saw a quote or something like that, is that you are successful if you have a dream, if you work to achieve this dream, if you achieve this dream, and if you help others to achieve that dream. So that is what makes person successful. They help others to achieve their dreams, and they don't, for example, bring everyone down, from like friends, family, or people just coming up to them in the street or something like that. You know, that's not what quote-unquote successful people do. Fifth one is that they don't complain. Successful people, quote-unquote successful people, because success is for everyone each own, but successful people don't complain because they don't do pity party for themselves. Of course, they can just, you know, take time off and like think about the action they did and like the setback that has happened to them, but they don't go to people or like sit around and like, oh my god, I'm so unlucky, why did that happen to me? Because what would it change? Like, what would this change? Does this type of thinking help me resolve the situation? No, it doesn't. So why complain? Instead of complaining, they're searching for the way out of that situation that they're in. Because of course, yeah, you can complain, you can make yourself feel good that you are so poor little human being and you were so unlucky, but what would you do? You feel bad for yourself, that's all, and you will more likely not to do whatever is that you want to do. But then setback came in and you're just like, no, I'm not gonna do it, I'm unlucky, why did it happen to me, and stuff like that. And sixth one is creativity, because we're so often in our heads, like so in our heads most of the time, and creativity just helps us to, you know, forget about it. Just draw for a little, or play on piano, or sing, or dance, or do whatever creative activity you can think about, because it gets you out of your head and you just create, whether music or painting or character. And also, there is no life without creating something, even if it seems meaningless to you. And our brains and our souls need to, you know, create something, because without it we wouldn't be humans. We need to create, we have this urge to create, and everyone is a creative person. Not everyone chooses to act on their creativity, and creativity just makes us feel good about ourselves, just makes us feel good that, oh, we did something, even if it sucks. For example, I love painting. Am I good at it? Not in the slightest. Like, not in the slightest. I have a whole drawer with paintings that are just horrendous, but in that time of the day I felt like painting, even though it turned out bad. It just gets me out of my head. Or playing a piano, for example, or like playing and like singing, just making up songs that makes me feel good about myself. This creativity also can be like writing in a journal, but the main thing is just to get out of your head and create something. Next one is desire to improve and learn. Successful people always want to improve. Successful people always have this drive to learn, because we get it so wrong sometimes. We think that, oh, once we finish school, once we finish university, we don't have to learn anymore. But that's not it. You have to learn your whole life, because brain is like a muscle. If you're not gonna use it, it's gonna die off. And do you want that? I don't think you want to be brain dead at 40. So it's a muscle that you have to exercise your brain. And also, successful people are curious about so many things, and it doesn't have to be all those like complicated things like finances or stuff like that. They can be curious about an animal they just saw, or about photography, or about that, and they always curious and they always learning. And I remember I was reading a book, I think it was Ego is Your Enemy, and there was chapter about always be a student, because if you're gonna act like you know everything, you're not gonna learn anything. even if you don't know that. If someone will give you an information and you will think that, oh, I know everything about that, you'll never learn. And learning is essential for us to grow, for us to improve, for us to grow our world mindset and world view, you know. It's really important for us to grow. So constant learning and constantly improving is one of those things. And the last one is curiosity. I mean, those are kind of connected, but successful people are curious about things. They're curious about people, they're curious about things, they're curious about subjects, they're curious about languages, for example. I mean, they're curious about different things, but they are curious because curiosity is what makes us human. Curiosity is what makes us alive. Curiosity is what makes us better people. By the fact that if, for example, you met someone new and you're talking to them and that person is telling you something and you try to interrupt them because you're like, oh, I'm not interested in you. I'm gonna talk about myself because I want you to think that I'm interesting. Successful people don't do that. They let other people to tell their whole story, like for example, whatever the story is, and they listen to it because they're interested in people, they're curious about people, and they're also not quick to judge whatever the other person is saying because they're curious to know their point of view, they're curious to know why do they think that way. So this is all I have for you today. I'll see you in a week or in a few seconds if you want to watch any of my other videos, and thank you for watching. Love you, bye!